Hello and welcome back. Okay. Should your car be inspected from time to time? That's a question. Should your car? Should. Yes, should es recomendable. Should es debería o debe. Should. La L es muda. Should. All right. Should your car be inspected from time to time? Of course it should. Okay. In fact, in this country, every year, it depends on how old your car is. It depends on how old your car is, whether el que sea inspeccionada o que se someta a inspección, ITV as you say here, once a year or once every 2 years. Should your car be inspected every year? Probably it should, okay? Because many people don't take good care of their cars. Many people don't check the pressure in the air pressure in the tires. Many people don't check the oil level. Many people don't check other aspects of their car, which are critical. So yes, cars should be inspected regularly, or cars should be inspected on a regular basis. Okay, pero aquí es should. Should is... Tiene varios significados, todos muy parecidos, menos uno. Should es cuando estás diciendo debes, pero no es un imperativo moral, no es imperativo, es una recomendación, una sugerencia. No deberías fumar tanto, eh? You shouldn't smoke so much. You should study more. No estoy diciendo que tienes forzosamente o por narices que estudiar más. Eso es you have to, you must. Come on. Pepe, Paco, Manolo, Inés, Rafael, Rafa, come on. You must study, come on, you really must make a stronger effort. Aquí estoy instando-os o instándote a realmente arrimar el hombro y trabajar y remar fuerte, okay? En ese caso diría must. Now, should is simply a recommendation. Should. Come on. I think you should study a little more, don't you? Don't you think you should? Don't you think you should study a little bit more? All right, so should is a recommendation or a suggestion. Should is also simply a moral question of behavior. Una cuestión moral del comportamiento. Okay, que no es imperativo necesariamente, pero es conveniente. Eh? You should be polite to other people. You should treat other people as you would want those people to treat you. You should give money, or you should be helpful, ser servicial, whenever possible. Things you should do. You shouldn't be rude to other people. Rude, escrito rude, is impolite, maleducado. All right, you shouldn't be rude to other people. You shouldn't be proud, soberbio. No, you should be more humble, okay? You should study English more, in my opinion, eh? You should, but not too much, because if you study too much, you'll learn English, and then you won't need me anymore, okay? And I need perpetual students. It's always good to have estudiantes perpetuos. It's always good to have perpetual students who come to me, pay money for classes, and they never learn. And so I have a perpetual or a inexhaustible, inagotable, fuente de ingresos. I have an inexhaustible source of income. Yes, I have an inexhaustible source of income from my students because they come, they like my classes. Wow, oh, Richard, me encantan tus clases, me encanta venir aquí a estudiar, me encanta el inglés, because they enjoy my classes, but then they go home and they don't study. So they continue coming back every year, paying money. I'm not a cynic, okay? But to a certain degree, to a certain extent, this is true, okay? Y si quiero ser cínico, que no lo soy, podría decir esas cosas que conviene. That you shouldn't study, please, because I need a perpetual source of income. But you should study more. You should. Entonces, should es... debería, se traduce como debería, también como debe, cuando es una cuestión de actitud moral conveniente en la vida. You should, all right? Now, must, ojo, bueno, should, voy a terminar con should. Should también usamos mucho cuando en castellano decís con toda seguridad, con toda probabilidad. Con toda seguridad hay unos 1,000 habitantes en ese pueblo, con toda probabilidad. There should be about I think there should be about 1,000 people there. Okay, so we use should in that way as well. All right, he should be here any minute. Tiene que estar, está al llegar. Está al llegar. No, esto no es debería estar. Está seguramente al llegar. Está, con toda probabilidad, está a punto de llegar. He should be here at any minute. He should be here right now. I'm surprised he's not here. So, and that's another case. Now, must. Ojo. Must is, also has two different meanings. Must has a meaning which is un imperativo moral. I must. Okay. A diferencia de have to. Must es una obligación internamente impuesta. Okay. Te lo impones a ti mismo. I must study more. Tengo que encontrar manera, debo, por todos los medios, encontrar una forma de estudiar inglés más. I must learn this language. Te estás imponiendo una obligación por decisión tuya, propia. All right? Ahora, if a person comes into your house with a rifle and he says, okay, I'm going to kill you if you don't learn English. And I'm going to stay here, even if I have to stay here for 2 years. And if you don't learn English within 2 years, I'm going to kill you. Okay? In this case, probably you wouldn't say, I must learn English. When you call your friend and say, hey, Pepe, listen, I can't go with you on that trip to Australia, the 2-month vacation, because I have to learn English. Aquí have to. Las obligaciones externamente impuestas por circunstancias o porque alguien te obliga es alguien o alguna ley. You have to. All right? You have to. We have to. Now, you can use I have to learn English, but really nobody is well, circumstances, yes. English is the lingua franca of this century, and it's going to be for the entire century. So really, you can say circumstances obligate you to learn English, and you can say have to learn English. But really, there's nobody holding a gun to your head. There's nobody with a whip who's going to punish you if you don't learn English. So really, I think it's more appropriate to say must. I must, should, mean I should learn English. La verdad es que debería aprender inglés. Eso no tiene fuerza para nada. I should. Okay? Es una autosugestión, una autosugerencia, una auto-recomendación. Oh, creo que debería aprender inglés ya, ¿no? I think I should learn English. Ahora bien, vamos a hacer un imperativo moral. Oh, I really must find a way to solve this deficiency, esta carencia, deficiencia. I really must. I'm imposing on myself. Es más urgente, hay más urgencia aquí. Debo forzosamente encontrar un modo para vencer este tema. I really must find a way. Now, have to is external. Okay. Now, if you're driving, okay, if you're driving your car, the speed limit says 120 kilometers per hour. So you have to drive at 120. Okay. It's the law. So it's externally imposed, excuse me. All right, should your car be inspected from time to time? Yes, it should. Your car should be inspected. The tires should be checked. You should check the air pressure. Look at the tires in your car. The tires. You have 4 tires. Well, you have 5, really. You have a spare tire in the trunk or the boot of your car. If you have a normal car, you open the boot. Los británicos dicen boot para el maletero. Los americanos decimos trunk, como tronco de árbol, trunk. You open the trunk. Trunk viene de la antigua palabra baúl, porque un baúl de viaje is a trunk. Okay, trunk. Trunk has 4 meanings. Ojo, cuidado. Trunk means trompa de elefante, the elephant's trunk. Tronco de árbol, trunk. Tronco del cuerpo, también your trunk, okay, like the tree trunk. And a trunk means un baúl, and trunk means el maletero in America y en Canadá, the trunk. Porque antiguamente en los antiguos coches, in the old cars, 100 years ago, they didn't have maletero. It was a car, and in the back there was había un baúl. And that's the origin of the word trunk, all right? But the British and the Irish say boot. I think the Australians and New Zealanders too, and South Africans say boot como una bota, la bota, the boot. Now, if you open the trunk or the boot, there's a spare tire, visible or under the floor of the trunk, and it's a spare tire. Spare, escucho spare. Es la rueda de repuesto. Decimos neumático de repuesto en inglés. The spare tire. So you have 5 tires on your car, but 4 are working, functioning. In some countries, in the United States, it's very common to rotate the tires. And so every once in a while, de vez en cuando, fijaos como lo acabo de decir, every once in a while, from time to time, every now and then, on occasions, okay, you take your car to the garage and they raise it and quickly they rotate the tires. And it's very common in the States. It's not common here. Here I've never rotated the tires on my car. Maybe it's recommendable, but I've never seen the mechanics rotate the tires on my car. Okay? Now I have a car in renting, what you call renting. And so I don't pay for the repairs on the car. I pay a rental fee every month. I pay a rental fee. F-E-E. Es una palabra muy importante. Porque se usa mucho. Prestación de servicios se basa en honorarios. It's a fee, a fee. But a fee también es la cuota que pagas. En este caso, un alquiler a largo plazo. A rental contract, and you pay a rental fee. And that fee covers everything. It covers the insurance, which is always very expensive. It covers any types of repairs. It covers changing the tires once or twice during the life of the car. It changing the oil, everything except gasoline. So really, when you rent a car instead of buying a car, the only thing additional you pay for is putting gasoline in the car or petrol in the car. And so it's a convenient, muy cómodo, it's a convenient way of doing it. Now, if you analyze, if you make calculations, okay, and you say, you make calculations and you calculate everything, maybe it's cheaper to buy a car and to pay the car insurance, to pay for the oil changes, to pay for the tire changes, to pay for, I don't know, the park, everything. Maybe it's cheaper to buy than to rent, but it's certainly less comfortable, okay? Because you need to change the oil at certain times, and a rental contract obligates you. You have to change the oil at a certain point because they call you. It's oil change time. All right, so question, should your car be inspected from time to time? Yes, it should. Next question, have the tires on your car been changed? When should you change the tires? Cambiar las ruedas. You should. Some people don't change it. It's really, really dangerous for you and for other cars. If you suffer a blowout, un reventón, blowout, todo junto, blowout. If you suffer a blowout, you can kill yourself, but you can kill other people too. So, question, have you changed the tires on your car recently? Have you? How many kilometers do you have on your car? Se dice on. Repito la pregunta. How many kilometers do you have on your car? 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000? If you have 40,000, maybe it's time to change the tires if you haven't done it yet. It's a little bit expensive often, but you need to change the tires. So make sure the tread, check the tread. Escrito tread, como el pasado de read, read, leer, añadiendo una T, tread. Check the tread on your tires, and you'll know simply by a visual inspection that maybe you need to change the tires, okay? Because otherwise it could be dangerous for you and for other people. Next question, was Paris an important city before Roman times? Paris, the capital of France. I love Paris in the winter, okay? You know the song, I love Paris. It's a song from Hollywood movie. I love Paris in the autumn, okay? I love Paris in the springtime. Do you like Paris? Have you ever been to Paris? Paris is the capital of France. It's the second biggest city in Europe, I think. What's the biggest city in Europe? Yeah? London is the biggest city in Europe, maybe. Now, maybe Moscow. Interesting question here. Istanbul. Istanbul is in Europe. Part of it, most of Istanbul. Have you ever been to Istanbul? Istanbul is separated as two sides, the Asian side and the European side, all right? And the European side is much bigger than the Asian side. It's divided by the Bosphorus, okay? The Bosforo, I think you say in Spanish, the Bosphorus, which is basically at that point like a river, but a big river. And on one side is one certain neighborhoods, areas of Istanbul, and the other. Now, what's the biggest city in population in Europe? I think it's London, but Istanbul or Moscow could be competitors for that honor of the biggest city in Europe. And Paris, what's the population of Paris? It's around 8 or 9 million people. It's quite big too, but it's not as big as London, all right? Now, Paris is the capital of France. And the question here, was Paris an important city before Roman times? No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Although Julius Caesar, in his campaigns in Gaul, es curioso, en español decís en las Galias, sus campañas de las Galias. And I don't know why you say Gallia or Gallias in Spanish. We say Gaul, Gaul. And I remember when there was a very famous novel in the late Middle Ages and the Renaissance period, Renacimiento in Spain, Amadís de Gaula. Okay, now Gaula is the same as Gaul. That's the old word for the area that is today France. But then when you talk about Julio César y sus campañas, when you talk about Julius Caesar and his campaigns, you say Las Gallias. So that's a question I haven't had time to research, which is really correct in Spanish, Las Gallias or Gaula, because in English we say Gaul. Now, during the period of Gaul, Paris was not important, although there was a tribe, una tribu de los Parisi, and they were located in the area that is today Paris, of course. And then Julius Caesar passed through that area and even had some meetings in that area. But the Parisi tribe was not the most important tribe during the Roman times. So, question, was Paris an important city before Roman times? No, it wasn't. It wasn't an important city before Roman times. Next question, was there a cemetery where your house stands now? I hope not. Okay. Cemetery, cementerio. Cemetery is where you bury people after they die. Cemetery. Fijaos. Cemetery. Okay, no hay ninguna N ahí. Aquí se dice cementerio. Okay. En French, cimetière, tampoco hay N. Yo creo que es una adición española, esa N en medio. I don't know how to say it in Latin. How do you say cemetery in Latin? Y ahí tenemos la raíz de la palabra, a ver si una N o no, in Latin. I don't know. Cemetery. Question again, is there a cemetery where your house stands? Stand, como estar de pie. ¿Dónde está tu casa ahora? You remember the movie Poltergeist. Poltergeist. It's a story of ghosts and spirits and evil spirits. And the problem is because the residential area, the housing development, ¿se dice development? Desarrollo para una urbanización. We say una zona residencial, una urbanización. We say a housing development. That was built on an old cemetery. Okay. And so the spirits of the people who were buried decided to express their grievances. They decided to express their grievances. Expresar sus reivindicaciones. Grievances. Interesting word. Creating some problems for one particular family and later for the rest of the families in the neighborhood. Poltergeist, quite a scary movie when it came out, cuando salió, when it came out. directed by Steven Spielberg. But my question is more specific about you. Is your house built, or was there a cemetery where your house stands now? Okay, probably not. Probably not, but you never know. For example, I live relatively close to the center of Madrid. I live in an area that maybe 400 years ago was in the country. But 300 years ago, I imagine it wasn't totally in the country. There's certain landmarks, okay, certain things, a palace, un cuartel. There's certain things that have been there for 400 years, but it's clear that they were built outside of the city, outside of Madrid, in the country. But today it's practically in the center. And it could be, podría ser, it could be that my house stands on a piece of land where there was a cemetery before. I don't know. You never know. All right, next question. Would Albert Einstein be over 100 if he were alive today? If Albert Einstein were, ¿por qué digo were en vez de was? Albert Einstein era alemán o suizo o austríaco. I think he was alemán originally. Albert Einstein was German. He was a German Jew or Swiss. He was, era o fue. Y fue un gran hombre. Yes, Albert Einstein was, pero aquí digo were. If Albert Einstein were, porque estoy diciendo fuera, si Albert Einstein estuviera, o en este caso estuviera vivo ahora mismo, if Albert Einstein were alive today, he would be over 100, definitely. He would be over 100, okay, if he were alive today. Yeah, but he's not. He died many years ago, but he died when he was in his 70s or early 80s, so he'd lived a long life. The first part of his life he lived, I think, in Switzerland most of the time. I think in Switzerland. And then he immigrated to the United States in the 1920s or early 1930s. And he lived the rest of his life in the United States, I think principally in New Jersey. New Jersey is a state located just south of New York City, crossing the Hudson River. You're in New Jersey. It's on the coast of the United States, south of New York City. And New Jersey is the home. New Jersey is la sede of Princeton University, the University of Princeton, which is a very prestigious university in the United States. And I think Einstein was there, teaching physics or mathematics for several years, for many years. Albert Einstein, now, would he be over 100 if he were still alive? Yes, he would. And my grandfather, my father's father, how old would he be if he were still alive? Well, he was born in 1891, which means he would be about 118 years old now if he were still alive. Okay. My uncle, my mother's brother, how old would he be now if he were still alive? My mother's brother died relatively young. I think he was 58 years old when he died. And so that was a long time ago. If my uncle were, otra vez were, no were. If my uncle were still alive, he was born in 1920. He was born in 1920. So if he were still alive today, he would be 87 or 88 years old. Yeah, okay. His brother, my other uncle, is still alive. He's a younger brother, and he's 85. So yeah. But my uncle died young, okay? That uncle. But the other one's in good physical condition. All right. They're telling me that I have to say goodbye. All right. If I were able to continue, I would. But I have to say goodbye because we have to say goodbye because the class is over, because the time is up. It's time to say goodbye, adios. So long means hasta la vista. Happy trails to you. Felices senderos es una canción en inglés. Happy trails to you until we meet again. And we will meet again tomorrow or very soon to continue in the quest to improve your English, okay? En la búsqueda de la mejora de vuestro inglés. Thank you very much. and see you soon. Bye-bye.